Hello and welcome to the Beth Johnston Air Show. Today we have award-winning director Daniela Day with us, who's going to be discussing her latest short film, The Waiting Room, as well as the film's audio trailer and recently released Empire magazine review. Hi Danny, thanks for joining us today. Can I call you Danny?
Yeah, that's fine. Hello Beth, thanks for having me, it's my pleasure.
So you've recently released the radio trailer for The Waiting Room, which by the way I'm a huge fan of.
Why, thank you.
What are the conventions of a radio trailer?
Well, they're usually quite short, obviously. About a minute and a half. Conventionally, they have a dominant voiceover which informs the audience of all the details of the film, for example, the release date, the star rating, age certificate, etc. After that's out of the way, you can start to have fun with it. You might decide to use audio clips from the film to tease the audience of the narratives and give them a basic idea of the film genre. But then again, all of these conventions give the audience an idea of the film genre if used in a specific way. Sorry about that. A good tagline is often essential. It suitures the audience before they've even seen the film.
Yeah, come to think of it, they're all things we recognise and would expect to hear in a radio trailer. So, do you think your trailer challenges these conventions?
Well, for the most part, I think the film trailer follows these basic conventions quite closely. I mean, it includes a dominant voiceover which informs the audience, audio clips and tagline.
Okay, so what about your magazine review? What are the conventions there?
Well, one of the most obvious conventions of a magazine review would have to be images. That's one of the perks of writing a magazine article rather than an audio trailer. You can include images in order to attract your audience. Typically, magazine reviews include two images, a dominant image which usually takes up a lot of space and is often a shot from the film, and a smaller image introducing another character or briefly exposing the narrative of the film to the readers. Another purpose of these films is to give the audience a better idea of the film genre. A lot of people decide whether they'd like to watch a film based on its genre. As well as this, the font of the title is very important. Often the title is the name of the film and is usually in capitals and in a bold font in order to grab the attention of the readers. Then, ordinarily, there is a tagline beneath the title which is used for the same reasons as in a radio trailer. As for the article itself, they tend to include information such as the release date, certificate, director, cast, running time and narrative or plot, which gives the audience a greater knowledge of the film. Among the article there is typically a pull quote which, as a rule, is also in bold capitals in order to grab the reader's attention. Then the article ends with the writer's verdict of the film and a star rating.
Right, I see. Interesting stuff. So, do you think that Empire magazine's review of The Waiting Room follows these conventions, and if so, how?
Yes, I think they followed these conventions very closely. They used two images, both shots from the film. One larger, dominant image with a caption and a smaller image. The title is in bold capitals, it is also the name of the film and is followed by the film's tagline. The article included information such as the film's date of release, certificate. They mentioned myself as a director and spoke briefly about the previous work and their opinions of my work overall. They also mentioned the cast, the running time, and they briefly spoke about the film's plot. Without any spoilers, of course. Then they gave their verdict of the film and gave it a star rating. So yes, I think they followed the typical conventions and codes very closely.
I see. And what are the functions of a radio trailer and a magazine review? Do they have the same function?
No. The functions of a radio trailer as opposed to a magazine review are very different. For starters, the radio trailer was made by the film's production company Roundhouse Pictures and its purpose is to advertise the film, whereas the magazine review was written independently by Empire magazine. The functions of a magazine review are not necessarily to advertise a film but to rate and review it, which I suppose is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, we were quite lucky to get a relatively positive verdict because often if the writer doesn't like a film, they will not hesitate to let the audience know about it. I've read some pretty harsh reviews in my time.
Yeah, I see there's quite a difference between the two. How many stars did they rate The Waiting Room again?
It was 3, which I can't argue with really. I knew I was taking a risk with this film and everyone else who was involved with the production are all very pleased with the way it's turned out.
Still, I'd have given it a 5.
Oh, why thank you. Maybe you should review our film.
Maybe I will. But back to the topic, how do you think the radio trailer and the film reviews achieve each of their functions?
Well, the radio trailer achieves its function by trying to suture the audience, as I've mentioned previously. We tried our best to intrigue our audience as much as possible with the radio trailer by using snippets of audio from the film and coming up with an interesting tagline which doesn't give away too much of the narrative. As far as the magazine review, I think it achieves its functions by giving the audience as much information as possible about the film and by being brutally honest. Like I said, we were lucky to get such a positive review.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.